Shri Guru Charitra, Chapter 50. Gurunath's Blessings on the Nawab. This chapter illustrates the merit one earns by visiting holy people. The Nawab, who was a washerman in his previous life but born into a royal family in this life because of the blessings he had from Shri Sripada Shri Vallabha, gains the darshan of Shri Narsimha Saraswati and gets cured of his physical ailment and also attains spiritual liberation. Siddha Muni earlier told Namdharak the story of the Rajak, the washerman devotee of Shri Sripada Shri Vallabha. The Rajak used to serve Sripada Shri Vallabha with great love and devotion. Sripada Shri Vallabha was very much pleased with his services and as a reward for the services he rendered, blessed him so that he would enjoy all regal pleasures and would be freed from his life of drudgery. Actually, the Rajak was secretly longing in his heart of hearts for regal pleasures. Sripada Shri Vallabha, divining the Rajak's thoughts, uttered his blessings. But then the Rajak said that he was too old already and any joys were worth enjoying only when one was young. Therefore, he prayed that the fulfillment of the blessings of the Guru be deferred to his next birth. The Guru said, "Let it be so." The Rajak was born in his next birth in the Muslim Nawab's family of Vaiduri Nagar, Bidar. When he became the ruler, he was very kind to all the subjects, treating the Hindus and the Muslims alike, and all the subjects as his own children. He used to respect Brahmins very much. The Maulvis used to feel envious and jealous of this. They tried to turn him against the Hindus, but the king never heeded them. He was very spiritual minded and believed that all the religions, even Hinduism and Islam, are but different pathways to the same God. He firmly believed all the Hindu gods are but different facets of the same Allah and that the various idols and forms which Hindus worship are but an aid for purifying and to bring the mind to one pointedness, which ultimately leads to experiencing and realization of the formless, the Nirankara, the concept of Allah in Islam. He was trying to establish harmony and cordiality in the relationship between the two religious communities. By and large, he was loved equally by both the communities amongst his subjects. The Nawab developed an ulcer on his body. He tried many hakims and vaidyas, but none could cure him. The pain and irritation was acute and was becoming unbearable for him. He was advised that if he visited the Papavinashini Tirtha and took bath in its holy waters, he might get cured. Further, he was told that a Mahapurusha darshan like that of Shri Narsimha Saraswati, who resided at Gangapur, would certainly cure him of his ailment. Shri Narsimha Saraswati foresaw that the Nawab was planning a visit to Gangapur for redress of his ailment. He envisaged also that hereafter, besides the already heavy influx of Hindus and Muslims, people from other communities also would be pouring into Gangapur, with the result that the serene atmosphere of the place would be disturbed. He thought that it was time now for him to renounce his incarnated form and assume his invisible self. However, this would mean that the influx of people desiring to meet Gurunath and seek his blessings for the mere fulfillment of their worldly desires or out of sheer curiosity would be arrested, though his sincere devotees and earnest spiritual aspirants would still continue to come to Gangapur. The Nawab came with his retinue up to Papavinashini Tirtha. There, he saw a yogi coming to him. The Nawab, after making his salutations to the yogi, prayed him to help his ailment to be cured. The yogi told him the same, what was advised to him earlier by the Brahmin priests, that with the mere darshan of a Mahanubhava, anything could be cured, and even death would flee away from him. Indeed, such a Mahanubhava was Shri Narsimha Saraswati of Gangapur. The yogi told him that he should proceed to Gangapur and take the darshan of Gurunath. To implant faith and conviction in the Nawab about Sant Darshan Prabhav, the great benefit one earns by visiting a holy person, the yogi narrated the following anecdote. There used to be one Brahmin living in Avanti Nagar. The Brahmin took to licentious life. He started eating meat also, besides being addicted to women and wine. He took to a concubine called Pingala, but who was quite faithful to him. One day, a Muni named Rishabha happened to knock at Pingala's house, asking for bhiksha. Pingala received him with great respect. The Brahmin also joined her in honoring him. They both worshipped him with flowers, smeared his body, and bathed his feet with perfumed water. They sipped his charan tirtha and entertained him with delicious food. They made him rest there. They massaged his feet, and he had a sound sleep and rest. They kept awake the whole night attending upon him. Next morning, the ascetic guest, very pleased, left after blessing them. After a time, both the Brahmin and Pingala died. Because of the Muni's blessings, the Brahmin was born in a royal family in his next birth. His father's name was Vajrabahu and the mother's name was Sumati. The king had many other wives, but Sumati was a queen consort, Patrani. The king and queen were very happy at the birth of the prince. But the other wives of the king were very jealous of Sumati, and they were all the more worried that thereafter, because of his love for the child, all the king's attention would be centered on Sumati alone exclusively, and that they would be totally neglected and would be relegated to an inferior status. They plotted to kill the queen and her child, and they one day poisoned the food and served to the queen and the child. The bodies of the queen and the child developed most unsightly lesions. There started oozing out pus from the lesions, emitting foul odor. The Vaidyas tried their best to cure the lesions, but it was of no avail. The disease was proclaimed incurable. The king became very averse to the queen and the child. His other wives also weaned him away in their favor. He came to a decision to get rid of the queen and the child. One day, he called his charioteer and asked him that he should take the queen and the child into the recesses of the forest and leave them there as prey to the wild animals. The charioteer took the queen and the child and left them in the forest. The queen and the child could not find anything to eat. They were very hungry. She was plaintively crying, praying to God that he should end their lives, as they could not bear the misery any longer. Hearing the wailing, some cowherd boys came to her and asked her and the child to accompany them. They soon came to know that she was a queen. Although both of them had been overtaken by a dreadful disease, they took them to the palace of their Vaishya king, whose name was Padmakar, and who was very kind-hearted. The king entrusted the mother and the child to the care of maidservants, asking them to look after the two very well. Although Sumati and her child were being looked after very well there, their disease was, however, becoming worse and worse. One day the son died and the mother was inconsolable. At this juncture, Rishabha Muni happened to come to that palace. Hearing the wailing, he inquired as to what had happened. When he heard about the death of the prince, he could intuitively know who the child was. He recognized that the boy in his previous life was the same Brahmin who served him, though for a day, but yet served with great devotion together with Pingala when he had visited the house of the latter. Accompanied by the king, the Muni approached the woman and tried to comfort her. He said, "Life is like a bubble, which is transient anyway, and would burst off any time." He said, "As death cannot be defied by anybody, we will have to reconcile ourselves to it and face it." But the woman was inconsolable, and she was preparing to kill herself. The Muni was moved with pity. He smeared the dead body of the child with sacred ash, vibhuti, uttering some mantras, and also put a little of it in the child's mouth. He gave the vibhuti to Sumati also and asked her to smear it all over her body. Lo, the child rose up as if from sleep, his body shining golden bright and having no traces at all of the disease. Same was the case with the mother. The queen fell at the feet of the Muni and poured out tears of gratitude. The boy later came to be called Bhadrayuvar, that is, one who has secured longevity. When he grew up, he became king and lived for a long time. Such is the power of the darshan of a Mahanubhava. After narrating as above, the yogi told the Nawab that if he also sought the darshan of a saint and had his blessings, he would also certainly get rid of his disease. The yogi asked the Nawab to go to Gangapur. The Nawab came to Gangapur and started inquiring where he could meet Shri Gurunath. He was told that Shri Narsimha Saraswati had gone to the Sangam. The Nawab went to the Sangam. He saw Shri Narsimha Saraswati there and paid his obeisance to him. Gurunath said, "O Rajaka, don't you remember you were a washerman and you used to worship me? Why have you taken so long to come to me?" As Gurunath was talking thus, his whole previous life flashed in the Nawab's memory. He fell at the feet of Gurunath with tears of devotion and gratitude welling out from his heart. All the devotion he used to have for Sripada Sri Vallabha in his previous life surged forth again. The Nawab prayed that Gurunath should relieve him of his ailment. Gurunath told him, "Show me where is your ulcer." As the Nawab was trying to remove his coat and show him his ulcer, lo, there wasn't any trace of the ulcer at all. The Nawab's joy knew no bounds. Further, in the presence of Gurunath, he felt as much intense joy as does a long lost son on finding his mother again. The Nawab prayed to Gurunath that he should visit his kingdom and bless it. Gurunath said that it was then getting late for his forenoon Anushtanam, and he had to rush to Papa Vinashni Tirtha immediately. He told him he could come and meet him there later. Saying thus, Gurunath, along with his retinue of disciples, disappeared and in a trice reached Papa Vinashni, which is 44 krosa away from Gangapur. Some of his devotees, prominent among whom was Nagnath, the son of Sayam Dev, came for his darshan there. They worshipped Gurunath and performed Samaradhana. Gurunath at that time graced their houses and blessed all their family members. It was nearing evening time and Gurunath told them that the Nawab would be arriving now with all his retinue for his darshan. The Nawab and his retinue, riding on their horses, reached Papa Vinashni by evening and had Gurunath's darshan. He fell at Gurunath's feet and again prayed that he should visit his kingdom. Gurunath visited Vaiduri Nagar. He was accorded the grandest welcome. All streets and houses were decorated with festoons and flowers. The roads were sprinkled with fragrant water mixed with musk and sandal. The queens received him doing arti. The Brahmins sang Vedic hymns. Shri Narsimha Saraswati was made to sit on a specially decorated throne, bedecked with precious stones, garlands, etc. The Nawab himself was waiting upon him. Gurunath asked the king whether all his vasanas were fully satiated yet or not. The Nawab said he had enough of them and what his heart yearned for now was only doing service at the feet of the master. Gurunath advised him that he should now leave the throne to his son and retire to Giri Parvata, Sri Sailam, and take to a life of contemplation. He assured him he would give him darshan there and grant him liberation. Saying thus to the Nawab, Gurunath returned to Gangapur. The Nawab did as advised by Gurunath. He took to intense meditation. He had the vision of Gurunath and earned liberation, the freedom of the spirit, the true sovereignty. Thus ends the 50th chapter of Shri Guru Charitra. Glory to the all-merciful, the omnipresent, and the ever-responsive Gurunath.